become the first country in the world to approve a biological control agent for invasive poisonous inkberry plants, also known as Cestrum species. The Department of Agriculture has authorized the release of a leaf mining flea beetle identified through research by the Agricultural Research Council. The beetle specifically targets Cestrum plants and is expected to help curb their spread, protecting biodiversity, agriculture, and livestock through a more sustainable and environmentally friendly approach. Let's have this conversation now with David Simelane, who's joining me on the line in his capacity as research team leader at the Agricultural Research Council. David, welcome to the program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mmatsheko, and morning to your viewers as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. What are poisonous inkberry plants? I think I'd like us to establish what they are and how did they end up in South Africa?
Mmatsheko, these are very poisonous plants which are found, there are 4 species in fact. They are found almost all over the country now, but the 2 invasive ones, one is found in KwaZulu-Natal, while the other one is found here in the inland. They are very shrub. They are called inkberries because they've got these small fruits, and when you squeeze the fruits, you end up with an ink on your hand. So that's why they are called inkberries. They are quite poisonous to livestock.
Mm. And why are these plants? How do they cause a problem for farmers, and perhaps how can they, solve this problem? How do they deal with it as you and I speak?
Can you repeat that, Mmatsheko?
So the current problem with these inkberries on the farms at the moment, David, perhaps you can give us a walkthrough, an overview as to how farmers are dealing with this problem at the moment.
Okay. The only option they have now is to chop the plants by hands or by some machines, or maybe spray them by chemicals, or which we call them herbicides. As you may be aware, this is very, very expensive operation, whether you have to use hands or hose or machines. That is all expensive. Not only is it expensive, you have to do it every year because you can chop plants now, the following year they grow again. If you have to use herbicides, chemicals, these are not safe to use. They tend to attack plants that are not targeted for. So because of this biocontrol agent that we have just produced now is a saver to farmers, especially to livestock producers.
Okay, and then let's talk about what biological control is and how does it differ from using herbicides or physically removing these plants by hand, as you mentioned.
A biological control agent is a live organism. It could be an insect, it could be a mite, it could be a microorganism such as a fungus. These are the microorganisms, or these are organisms that you have to go to the country of origin, do surveys, try to identify the best ones, introduce them into the country, and then in the facility called quarantine, that's where you screen them. You test to see if they are safe for release. So that is what you do. That's
All right.
what I can say. Yes.
Okay, and how does this leaf mining flea beetle control the inkberry without harming other plants that surround the environment?
So what this little beetle does, it feeds on the leaves, and the immature, they develop within the leaf. As they develop within the leaf, they cause the leaf mines. And because of the damage that is caused on the leaf, the plant is unable to grow properly, so it becomes stunted. Not only does it stop or it reduces its ability to grow, but its ability to reproduce is also reduced. You find that most of the infested plants, they are unable to produce flowers, or enough flowers. So in that way, they are not going to be able to produce seeds. So in that way, this little bill will reduce the population of the plant by making sure that they don't multiply or they don't spread. So that's what this beetle will do.
And then, in terms of this beetle being able to spread naturally, is that something that can be expected, or will it need to
Yes.
be released into different parts of the country, if you will?
Yes, Mateko, that's what we are expecting. A good biocontrol agent is the one that we can just release at a few spots, and then it is able to multiply on its own and then spread. That's what we are expecting, but that is yet to be seen because some insects, they do need to be mass reared and be distributed all over the country. But yes, we are expecting to release just a few at strategic points, and thereafter it will multiply its own. And that is the beauty of biocontrol, because once you have the biocontrol out there, it will sustain itself forever, and there won't be any need for follow-up treatments like you would do when we are using chemicals or physical chopping of the plant.
Right. And can you give us more details on the rollout? If I'm listening and I'm a farmer or landowner and I'd like to put in some kind of formal request for these beetles to be removed from my property, how, can you give us details on the rollout and how exactly it will work?
Um, we the bill that you mean
Yes.
the rollout. The first thing that we'll do when the summer starts, we will multiply it, we'll breed it in our labs in large numbers, and thereafter we will distribute it ourselves. It's better if it is done by ourselves because we know the suitable habitats in which it has to be released and where it has a good chance of establishing. So we will be doing that ourselves because we know where the weeds are and where the invasive spots are. But in the long run, yes, we will try to involve the stakeholders, basically the farmers, to help us with the mass rearing and also with the distribution of the insect.
Okay.
But initially, we will have to do it ourselves, yes.
All right, understood. Thank you, David. And then let's look at things from a biodiversity perspective. Are there any risks that could be associated with introducing another insect into the environment? And yeah, I mean, do you have a sort of way to assess these risks at this time?
Can you repeat that, Mateko?
Are there any risks that are associated with introducing another type of insect into the environment at the same time with this, with this beetle, as it were? And how do you assess the risks of introducing new species into the environment?
If I can be specific with this one, we will introduce this one and do some assessment, which we
Mm-hmm.
called it post-release evaluation, to see if it is doing the job it is intended to do. We will assess for some time to see if it is really reducing the invasiveness of the plant. But I must say that Cestrum has got 4 species. So it will be naive for us to think that this particular beetle will be able to attack all these 4 species. So as I'm speaking now, we are hard at work in our lab trying to develop more agents with the hope that some of these Cestrum species, or let me say most of them, will be able to be covered by all the insects that we are developing. So I don't foresee any risk of them being coexisting in the field. If
Mm-hmm.
that is what we're asking, the chances of that are low because remember, in their native range, they are coexisting. They are living together there. So there's no reason why they should not coexist here in South Africa or in the country of introduction.
Right, 20 minutes into 10 a.m. in Central African time. David Simelane from the Agricultural Research Council giving us insights as to what the Department of Agriculture is doing. So they've authorized the release of a leaf mining flea beetle that is identified through the ARC, as it were, to really tackle this inkberry plant and to assist with the Cestrum species, as it were. Let's take a break.
Let the drums guide you through Amapiano energy and jazz sophistication on Jemba Vibes.
Somi Grammy-nominated jazz voice, Rwandan and Ugandan roots, born in the U.S. but claimed by the African continent. But she's also honored Africa's Miriam Makeba. I'm South African. I can't talk to you without speaking about Ginger Me Slowly. In fact, that song has brought so much pressure on us South African men and how to treat our women.
It's not a song that I don't want to sing, but there are times when I feel like maybe I want to have a set that's a little more like, I don't know, that's sort of brewing in other emotional spaces. I still feel like, but I should do Ginger Me Slowly. It's kind of a joke now with my band. I love that it's a love song that people want to hear and that it occupies a kind of warm energy center for me.
Feel the heartbeat of the African continent. Afro beats, jazz grooves, and dancehall fire unite on Jemba Vibes. Sunday, 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central African Time. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Look closer. Listen deeper. This is The Journal with Mosito on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us as we continue this conversation, looking at South Africa becoming the first country in the world to approve a biological control agent for invasive poisonous inkberry plants that is causing such a headache for livestock farmers on the ground. On the line with me, David Simelane, Research Team Manager at the Agricultural Research Council. David, let's talk about South Africa being the first country to approve this control agent. Why is this such a significant achievement right now?
Well, Mmatsheko, it is significant. As you know, or maybe you may be aware, cestrums are not only invasive in South Africa, but they're invasive in many countries around the world. That includes Southeast Asia, Australia. Those countries have not targeted the cestrum for biocontrol. So we're the first country to have targeted this plan for biocontrol. And fortunately, we have become the first one to release a biocontrol agent against this species. So this is quite significant.
Right.
Mmatsheko.
Okay. And then in terms of the success of this, I'd like us to talk about the role of, the scientific research in protecting South Africa's agriculture and biodiversity. I think that also speaks to much of the success of this milestone.
Yes. Other than this one, our division, it's playing a big role in protecting biodiversity because, as you know, alien invasive, most of them, they have this ability to outcompete, especially indigenous plants. Once they occupy the space, they dominate. They won't allow other plants to thrive. So it is important that we control them. And as I pointed out earlier, using chemicals or physical chopping them is not a sustainable option and is very expensive. So the use of biocontrol is the only way to go, the most sustainable technique that is available.
Mm-hmm. David, thank you very much for engaging us on this and giving us some information and education as to what is happening in terms of being able to tackle this poisonous inkberry plant and what the department is doing together with the Agricultural Research Council to tackle it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much. David Simelane, Research Team Leader at the Agricultural Research Council.
Look closer. Listen